Because even though the elders, they all know who Allah is, they all know who Khatamul Anbiya is, they all know who the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam are, but over the time, the ways in which we used to connect with the Ahlul Bayt, they have changed. And even though we know that another year has passed, and our lives are changing, the youth are one more step closer to death, and the elders are also another step closer to death. Because death is that reality that even though we can try to move away from it, even though we can try to think that we are on this world forever, death is that certainty that one day death shall come to us. And we all try in this world to attain knowledge, because knowledge is that thing, is that blessing from Allah Azza wa Jal. That knowledge will help us in this world, and knowledge is that gift from Allah that will also help us in the hereafter. But we need to understand and explain this to our youth, that even though we spend our lives, we spend day and night trying to seek knowledge, trying to find that knowledge which will help us in this world and which will raise our status in front of people. All of our youth, all of our children, they aim to acquire that knowledge, and which is a good thing, because we should try to gain that knowledge, because we need to show people that the followers of Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam can also have the knowledge to change the world. But the thing that is happening in the society now is that even though we are encouraging our youth, we are encouraging our children to gain worldly knowledge, but we are forgetting that even though the worldly knowledge will help them in this world, but are we giving them knowledge which will help them in the hereafter? Every single parent who is sitting here, you all start to save for your children's education as soon as you get married. Because you know that if you want your child to be successful in this world, you need to pay for their education so that they can have a good education. But it amazes me that you are preparing your children for this world. What responsibility are you fulfilling in preparing your children for the hereafter? Because we all save towards the education here. Why can't we save for the religious education? If every single child can save for a holiday which he or she is going to take at the end of term, they have enough knowledge, they have enough aql, they have enough mind to save for a holiday which they are going to take with their friends, which will probably benefit them in this world. But why can't people save for the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam? Because whenever I speak to the elders, whenever I speak to the youth, and I tell them the fazilat of the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, and I would like to mention one of the fazilat of the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam is that person who goes for the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. In the riwayat we find that Allah Azza wa Jal forgives all his sins. Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam states that when a person goes for the ziyarat of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, Allah Azza wa Jal forgives all his sins, whether minor or major. Allah forgives all his sins. The sixth Imam says that that person will commit his first major sin when he thinks that is there one of my sins that Allah has not forgiven. That will be his major sin after the ziyarat of Imam Hussain, when he doubts whether there is some sin which Allah has not forgiven. That is the fazilat of the ziyarat of Imam Hussain. We save for education for this world, we save for worldly trips in this world, but what are we thinking for the akhirat? What are we trying to do to make our akhirat a better place? And there is no other action, there is no other deed, there is no other act greater than going for the ziyarat of Aimma alayhi salatu wasalam. Because if you want to connect with them, we need to see them. And the only way we can see them and connect with them is by going to their ziyarat. And we need to understand this, because when you mention to the people, are you going for ziyarat this year? One of the things that a lot of people turn around and say that if Mawla wants me to go, then I will go. I think that statement is wrong. As Molana Sahib also clarified last night as well, that statement is wrong. Why? Because we find narrations that, as I mentioned previously, if a person's grave can call you 70,000 times a day, then that Mawla, that Aqa, that Master, who we have given our lives to, who we do everything to please our Master, don't you think Imam Hussain ﷺ is calling us for his ziyarat? He is calling us for his ziyarat. But why don't we hear the call of Imam Hussain ﷺ? The reason is because we have started to indulge in worldly luxuries. And unless we clean our minds, unless we try to clean our souls, then that connection with our Imam is not possible. The only way we can get closer to our Imam is that when we hear the call, Labbaik Ya Hussain, instead of just saying it by our tongues, we actually say Labbaik Ya Hussain from our hearts. And unless we don't say the call of Imam Hussain inside our hearts, then there won't be a change inside us. Because Allah says in the Quran that that person who reads namaz, how will you know that the person's namaz is accepted? In narration we find that that person, and the Quran also says this, that that person who moves away from all evil acts, from all sorts of wickedness, then that person is truly on the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. That is one of the signs that we know that the person's namaz is accepted. But then how do we know that a person is actually connected with the Imam? The only way we can understand this, and the only way the youth can understand, is that when someone calls you to do something against the teachings of Aimma alayhi salatu wasalam, if your heart turns around and tells you that this act is against the sayings of your Imam, then you have that connection with your Imam. And if without even thinking, you indulge yourself in such an act, that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam on the day of Qiyamah, on the day of judgment, will be ashamed to call you his Shia, then that connection with the Imam needs to be built on. And the only way we can do that is by listening to the sayings of Aimma alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says that that person who wants to connect with Allah Azza wa Jal. Now this is because nowadays the youth and our youngsters, they want something to do which they can do practically. They don't want to listen to an hour's taqreer of the Molana and then go home and then forget half of it. They want something which they can do practically, so that they can keep the zikr of Ali Muhammad inside them, and by doing the act and the deed practically, they can connect with the Imam. Then Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam has given us a way which we can use to connect with Allah Azza wa Jal. And that is one of the things that Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam has said, that we need to do at least once a day. And if we can't do it once a day, Imam Ali says at least try to do it once a week. If you can't do it once a week, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says do it once a month. And then he carries on saying do it once a year. And then once in your lifetime, before you die, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says that if you do this deed, if you do this act, then you are one step closer to connecting with Allah Azza wa Jal. What is that deed? Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says that when your day finishes and you are on your bed and you are about to go to sleep, then Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, think from the time that you opened your eyes that morning to the time that you are now laying on your bed again. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, think about every single action, whether big or small. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says that even if you get up to brush your teeth, even if you get up to eat, even if you get up to walk, to work, or any action, any deed that you have done throughout the day, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, put that deed in front of your eyes. And then Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, compare that deed with what Allah has told you to do. If you have done everything to please Allah Azza wa Jal, if you have done everything to please us, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, then Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, you are a step closer in connecting with Allah.
Narae Takbir,
Narae
Risalat, Nara Haideria, Antar Salawat.
So Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says, then you are a step closer in connecting with Allah Azza wa Jal. But then the Mawla carries on, and Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam says that if you have done anything to move Allah away from you, and if you have done anything that you think that we, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam, won't be happy with, then the dars that Imam Ali is giving us, that as soon as you realize that you have done something wrong, straight away ask Allah to forgive you. Because forgiveness is that amal, is that act that Allah Azza wa Jal has given us. That if we start to move away from Allah Azza wa Jal, astaghfar, forgiveness, acts as a rope which moves us back closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. But as I have mentioned previously as well, forgiveness should not only be done from the tongue, but you should confirm it with the heart. In a famous saying, Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam says that if you actually want to know that Allah has accepted your forgiveness, then whenever you ask Allah to forgive you, confirm it with the heart in such a way that tomorrow you will not go and do that act again. That is how you will know that Allah has accepted your forgiveness. Because as I have mentioned before, that we are not from that sect that spends the month of Ramadan doing astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. No. We are those followers of that Imam that when we say something, we mean it. And if we want to actually follow in the steps of our Mawla, then whenever we realize, because no person is pure from sin, because we are prone to make mistakes. But the biggest person is that person that as soon as he realizes that he has done something to move Allah away from him, he should ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive him. Can we have a loud salawat, please? The sixth Imam, Imam Jafar Sadiq says that the reason why people are moving away from Allah, the reason why people are moving away from us, the Ahlul Bayt ﷺ, is because their souls are being corrupted. Their minds are getting corrupted. And Imam Sadiq ﷺ says that you need to invite people. You need to invite people towards Iman. You need to invite people towards Iman. And how is that done? Imam says that that is not done by the tongue. Listen to the philosophy of Imam Sadiq ﷺ. He is saying that invite people towards Iman. But normally when you think that you need to invite someone, you think that you will use your tongue. You will speak to the person and you will invite him to the religion. You will invite him towards Allah. You will invite him towards the prophets. You will invite him towards the Imams. But Imam Sadiq ﷺ is saying that whenever you want to call someone towards Iman, then do not use your tongues. Because the sixth Imam says that better than your tongues is your truthfulness. Better than your tongues is your piety. Better than your tongues, the Imam says, is your seerat. We've heard many times that Imam ﷺ says that make yourself into such a Shia, into such a follower, that when people look at you, they don't have the need to ask you whether you are Shia or whether you are Sunni. Just by looking at your kirdar, just by looking at the way you are living your life, they realize that you are a follower of Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And as I have mentioned before, and the reason why I keep repeating this is because our youth, until you do not keep repeating something, they don't understand something. And I have mentioned this before, no alim, and I mention it again, no alim, no Molana, no Mujtahid, no Ayatullah is against any form of act of azadari which connects you with your Imam. Listen to the words that I'm saying. No one is against any act which connects you with your Imam. Whether it be Matam, whether it be Zanjeer, whether it be Qamazani, because all these things the enemy is using to divide us. We the Shia, we the followers of Amir al-Mu'mineen, we are all one on the vilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and we are all one on the azadari of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Imam Hussain al-Islam. But they are trying to divide us. So no one is against any act that connects you with your Imam. And I have mentioned this before. And the reason why I'm mentioning this again is that Imam is saying that make yourself into such a person that when someone looks at you, they realize that you are a follower of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Not by you wearing chains around your neck, not by you wearing qare on your hands, not by you wearing rings on your hands, no. But make your kirdar into such a way that when someone looks at you, they realize that the way he is living his life is according to the teachings of Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. Because there is no harm in using things to connect with the Imam. But as I have mentioned before, that if you are using these things to connect with your Imam, then at least use the life of your Imam and implement his life into your life. So that you change your life. You read the Quran, you read the namaz, you come to the Majlis. And you don't only come to the Majlis where you can stand outside. And when the person starts Masahib, then you come inside. Because the first tabligh of Imam Hussain ﷺ did not start on Masahib. You need to listen to the Fazail of Ali Muhammad if you want to come to the Masahib of Ali Muhammad. Because Fazail always comes before Masahib. And if you don't understand who Ali Muhammad are, if you don't understand the lives of Ali Muhammad, and you only know what tragedies fell upon them, then are you a true follower of Ali Muhammad? Because happiness and sadness is both together when you believe in Ali Muhammad. Because we read in narrations that Ali Muhammad ﷺ says that be with us when we are happy and be with us when we are sad. So if we want to be the true followers of Ali Muhammad, we need to associate ourselves with the happiness of Ali Muhammad. And then we can associate with their sadness. Because their happiness is in this, that even though how hard it is to connect with Allah, even though it is very hard to connect with the Rasulullah, even though for some it is very hard to even connect with the Ahlul Bayt, but as long as we try, as long as we have the niyat, we have the intention of connecting with our Imams, then we are believers of those Imams that even helped the prophets of Allah when they were in problems. And don't you think that they will come to help us? Because we are the followers of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Can we have a loud salawat, please? And I have been saying this since Mu'mineen saw the moon of Muharram. Since we realized that sadness has come in the house of Fatima Zahra. We Shia, we take off bright clothes, and for 10 days we wear black because we want to associate with the musibah that fell upon Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. Only if the Muslims understood who Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam was, then Imam Hussain with his family had no need to come to Karbala. Azadara, today we are remembering that Prince of Karbala who goes by the name of Qasim. Azadaro, Qasim is the son of Amir Hassan. Azadaro, have you ever thought why whenever someone mentions the name Hassan, he says Amir Hassan? And why when someone mentions the name Hussein, he says a Gharib Hussein? Azadaro, the reason why Imam Hassan is known to be rich, because in those times, that person who dies with a shroud, that person who dies with a burial, that person who dies with a kafan, he is known as Amir. The reason why Imam Hassan is Amir, because when Imam Hassan passed away from this world, he was given a kafan, he was given a burial. But wah ghurbata, look at Karbala. The reason why Imam Hussein is a gharib, because for 3 days his body was left without a shroud and kafan. That is the reason why Imam Hussein is gharib. But look at the ghurbat of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. That whenever Qasim came to get permission from Imam Hussein to fight, Imam Hussein would look at Hazrat Qasim and say, "Oh Qasim, whenever I look at you, you remind me of my brother Hassan. Oh Qasim, how can I send you to get killed?" Hazrat Qasim returns to his mother and he says, "Oh my mother, I have been many times to my uncle Hussein. He has given everyone permission to go and fight. But oh my mother, my uncle Hussein is not giving me permission to fight." Farwa says to Qasim, "Oh Qasim, your father gave you an amulet which is tied on your arm. Take that amulet and go give it to your uncle Hussein." Hazrat Qasim takes that amulet off and he goes and gives it to Imam Hussein. When Imam Hussein opens up the amulet, he is reading the amulet. As soon as he sees that this writing is of his brother Hassan, Imam Hussein begins to cry and looks at Qasim and says, "Oh Qasim, if you want to fight, then I, Hussein, gives you permission, go and fight." Oh Zadar, alas, Hazrat Qasim is given permission. Hazrat Qasim enters the battle of Karbala and he starts to fight against the enemy. Azadaro, the reason why we have come here to cry for the son of Imam Hassan, because Qasim was only Qasim as long as he was on the horse. Azadaro, do you want to listen to the musibat of Hazrat Qasim? As long as Qasim was on the horse, he was Qasim. When Hazrat Qasim fell from the horse, his body had come in so many pieces that when Imam Hussein came looking for Qasim, he says, "Has anyone seen my Qasim?" One person is passing on the horse, he looks at Imam Hussein and he begins to cry and he says, "Oh Hussein, I am laughing because Hazrat Qasim that you are looking for, some of his body is in Karbala and some of his body is on my horse." Imam Hussein begins to cry. When he approaches the pieces of Hazrat Qasim, he starts to collect the pieces and he starts to put the pieces into his abba and he is reading, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un."